Hola, señoras y señores. What's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your boy He-Bot coming back at you. I've been gone for a little while, but I'm here once again, coming at you with a quick video. And this video I'm doing because my son, unfortunately, doesn't understand the logistics of businesses and business decisions. He thinks they're more of a simple black and white matter, and apparently he's not the only one suffering from this ideals and ideas. There's other people out in the YouTube scene, and not many have really talked about it, but I figured let me do a video on the topic. And the topic is about all the hoopla and backlash and negativity that's going on with the Xbox 360 store coming to a closure in 2024 of July, right? In July. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes. Does it suck that things have to go away? Absolutely. Especially when there are no ultimatums or alternatives, right? Meaning, a lot of games that came out in the 360 era came out in the Xbox Live store were only available digitally, even though they were published and not self-published. And basically, for some ironic reason or for some reason in general, when games did well, like, for example, Castle Crashers, Limbo, games like even in the Xbox One generation, like Inside, right? Just to give you an idea, even though they did well, they never published, or the publishers or publishees never made a physical copy. And Microsoft is at fault for some of these. For example, Microsoft did publish games like Dust and Elysium Tale. Okay? And Dust and Elysium Tale never got a physical release on Xbox for the Xbox, fans to buy physically. Now, Dust Elysium Tale, they made a remaster because the developer got a hold of the IP or stayed with the IP after the contract was over, found a another publisher, or they self-published themselves, made a whole remaster of the game and put it on PlayStation and put it on Nintendo, which I also believe they made a physical copy on both of those platforms. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but the point is they brought them there. But guess what they didn't do? They did not allow Microsoft to put it on back compat, even though Microsoft published the game originally for them, meaning they gave them their opportunity, the money, did all the legwork, put all the money for the marketing and whatever they had to do to bring it out, and gave them percentage of sales. And they still not once had the audacity to allow Microsoft to put it via back compat because they wanted to make the remaster. Now, I don't know if they made the remaster with the idea of bringing it to Xbox also later on, but they first chose to also bring it out, or to bring it out to PlayStation and Nintendo first. And because it didn't sell and it didn't do no numbers, they didn't get enough funds to do the Xbox version, right? I don't know if that's the case. That might very well be the case. But since I don't have proof and there is no proof about it, and the developers and publishers never really spoke on it, I'm not going to give you an answer and say that's what it is without solid evidence or facts, because I don't like doing that. So anyway, a lot of Xbox fans, and I truly wholeheartedly believe that it's mainly the achievement hunters, because achievement hunters have dedicated their entire gaming life and structure and pattern on playing games just for achievements. Whether they like the game or not, whether they think the game may be good or bad, they don't really care. The point is, they try to get all the achievements they possibly can with the 360 games as much as possible to build up their achievement repertoire, right? My son happens to be one of them, right? And that's okay. If it's something you like, it's like a hobby. It's like I like collecting figures. That's perfectly fine. But when you base your entire gaming habit, and I'm not saying that my son is like this, because he really plays all types of stuff, but you make your gaming patterns based on only collecting achievements, for example, then the truth of the matter is you're going to make a smaller space for you to explore and play other stuff that you actually enjoy and like. That's what I truly believe. Now, you guys have to understand that these games don't belong to Microsoft either. Microsoft tried really hard with their backwards compatibility program to bring forth and bring over as much games as possible. Okay? And they said clear as day they needed to stop it because many of those games legally was costing too much and the developers were not cooperating. So if the developers don't cooperate and they don't want to do what needs to be done to allow it to be back compat, then Microsoft has no say or do in the situation. Even as far as with Bethesda games. Now they own Bethesda, and a lot of games that were Bethesda published, like let's say something like Wet, that comes to mind, should be back compat. And it's not. It might be because other people were involved with the licensing and rights to the IP, and Bethesda can't make the final call. But it's nice to see that people and companies like Hasbro said already that if and when the actual acquisition goes through, they we're more than willing to allow their games that they published through Activision or through, let's say, Bethesda or whatever the case may be, to be back compat and played on Xbox and be preserved. The same way it's not Xbox's fault if they didn't make physical copies of many of those games, like a Castle Crasher or like a Limbo, right? Something more modern like Blazing Chromes, Fighting Rage, right? The Takeover. All these games that are available physically, Ninja Warriors, right? On PlayStation and Nintendo 95% of the time. But didn't come to Xbox because they chose not to bring it there, or because they couldn't afford the mandates for Xbox, because they want you to do a certain amount so that there'll be enough copies out there and they don't have pirating issues or, scalping issues that people have to face with buying these older games because there's not enough copies of them. And instead of them being able to pick them up and have accessibility easily physically, they're going on eBay and places like Amazon and Mercari and whatnot, whatever the fuck, outlet that allows you to sell or do, auctions for astronomical crazy prices. And then there'll be a game that's really bad or really not that great, and they're going for like $300, $400, $500. That's ridiculous. So anybody that wants to be an avid completist of a collection, it's very difficult because now you have to spend a crazy amount of money that should not be spent because the game's really not worth that much. It only has a high value because it's out of print and maybe they didn't make a lot of versions of it. But as far as having the value because it's actually a good game, absolutely not. That's not the case. But you guys have to understand that PlayStation was going to do the same thing, give you a little bit of time, and they got a backlash and go, okay, we'll leave it open. But PlayStation doesn't pay out, right, what Microsoft had to pay out, because Microsoft published a lot of games for developers they don't even own no more, like Twisted Pixel, right, that did Local Cycle, that did Comic Jumper, the game they did for Connect, the Mall, Mrs. and Mr. Explosion Man. They don't own companies like the guys who did Max Curse of the Brotherhood. Press Play, I think it was called. Because those guys also went on their own after their 5-year contract was over. You see? But still made physical copies for PlayStation and Nintendo of the game Max Curse of the Brotherhood after they released it on those systems, and didn't make one for Xbox, right? Mainly probably due to sales, because it didn't sell well and they couldn't afford to bring it over or port it over with a physical copy in mind. See? And there is the problem. All these people doing these videos want to be negative about it because it's with Xbox, or because they're trying to say, oh, you try to call out Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo literally gave you a few months when they said they were closing the Wii shop, and they just closed it. They didn't care, and you had no access to it whatsoever. At least with Microsoft, you have a lot of the games back compat, even though there's still a lot missing. And what you do have back compat, you can take with you forward, unlike Nintendo, for example, or in some cases with some games with Sony, that you can't. And the PS3 had a few games that were nice in their, store, but nowhere near the numbers of Microsoft. And they didn't publish a lot of those games, like Papo y Yo, Rain, for example, right? That come to mind. Those are games that were exclusive. I think they maybe Flower, this is what they published, or or something like that. In that case, but they remastered it and brought it right out. They didn't give it to you back and back. So again, it's what I'm trying to say, that what Sony has to pay out as far as keeping that store open is nowhere near in the level of what Microsoft has to pay out. And it doesn't matter if Microsoft has more money or not. If they see the data and they see that it's not worth keeping it open based on what they're spending and based on the activity of what's still there on Xbox, because even if you have 100,000 people or even 200,000 people still on 360, it still doesn't warrant the value of what they're spending to have it open just so that they can be on the 360 playing for achievements, or hopefully hoping that they can get all those games before the store closes. Could they extend the opening or closing of the store? Yeah, that's an option. Maybe it'll get to that point depending how much feedback they get and what they feel might be right and might not be right. And that'd be good for people to have more time. But I think that a year's time, because they just literally announced in the beginning of August, and I think it'll be July of next year, the 24th, something like that. It'll be the time set for the closure is almost a year. So a year is more than suffice for you to go buy the games you think you're buying, or that you perhaps never bought. Because again, if you didn't buy it all this time, then the truth is you didn't care or didn't want them. And I know a lot of games on 360 are still overpriced. Don't get me wrong. And that's the reason why it's a hard sell, because it's an older game still for expensive prices. Like the Death Smile series. Although they came to Xbox, the remaster, I own them on the 360. And you can still buy them. And they're like $30. Because the Japanese version. For a shoot 'em up, which is ludicrous. I don't care how good the game is. It's old. Shouldn't be that price. So if you guys want to actually yell, scream, and get mad, you need to do this with the developers on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you see them available, whether it's Facebook, their actual websites, and hit them up. Let them know, we want these games preserved. Can you make physical copies, or can you make deals with Microsoft to bring them over for via back compat? because Microsoft can't babysit and pay the bill, or for every single developer out there that chooses not to cooperate or wants to act greedy, because they'd rather sell you the remaster for $60, $50, $40, or even $70 in some cases for games that were only $15 and $20 during the 360. No, even a resolution bump from 720 to 4K does not justify a $40 or $50 difference in price for you to go out and rebuy it, especially if you own it and you know that Microsoft offered backwards compatibility with smart delivery, meaning they would give you the free enhancements as well. It makes no sense. They kind of like what they're doing now with the Metal Gear. They did the technical analysis with the HD collection, and it's exactly the same. We already own the Metal Gear HD collection for 360. Might as well put it on Xbox, upscale it to the console, and I believe it has enhancements with smart delivery. I could be wrong. But the point is, why would I go purchase a $60 collection that I already have on 360 and they put no work and effort into it? That's just crazy. And for anyone to sit there and be an apologist for it and to say that's okay, you got to reevaluate your situation, because we're in hard times. Number one, not everybody's rich. Number two, and plus, why would you get the same thing if you're not? I mean, even if you just got a bump in resolution or a bump in frame rates, it still doesn't justify paying another $50 for a game, or $60 that you already bought way back then for $30 or $40 on the 360 era. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't make no sense. That's not fanboying or gatekeeping or being a simp to a company. That's just reality. What is simping and gatekeeping and fanboying is if you go out there and buy it and justify the purchase and say, oh, that's okay, I love it because it's one of my favorite franchises. That's just straight simping. That's fanboying at the highest quality, right? So again, you guys can get mad at me all you want. I'm calling you out because y'all sound silly and very, very foolish. Microsoft doesn't own and control every single one of those games. We got games like Voltron, games like the DS Dark Knight that came out from the Arkham series. We got games like Narco, games like The Expendables, a bunch of games. Desert Assault, a lot of games that were on the Dreamcast, for a matter of fact, that were also there, only came out in Europe or Japan, that they did not publish or own. They have no way that they can just go out and do physical copies or resell them without the consent and agreement of those set publishers and companies that owns the IP. Because if they do try to do that without trying to make a deal with them first, they're going to get a lawsuit and a half up their booty hole. And they cannot afford to get sued by any company for millions and billions of dollars, because imagine if all those developers sued them, let's say over 200 developers, that can cost them big time. Okay? That's why Phil did the deal with Endstream to put it on Xbox, because he's already made deals with certain people for certain games to be on there from different consoles, from the arcade and things of that nature, because he did the legwork. So he made a deal with Phil and worked it out to see how much it would be to have it on there, what was the right price point, and things of that nature. So stop being entitled, because if you don't own the games already, you don't have a right to complain. They're not your games. They're the developers and the publishers' games. Microsoft could only do but so much. Now, if it's a Microsoft game that's published by them and developed by them, and they still don't put it there, and they're allowing it to get lost in translation once they shut down the store, then that's bad on Microsoft. Then we can call them out. But the truth is, there's no real games that they published other than I can think of, which was, Dust Elysium Tale, that they never brought out or put back on pat by themselves. And that's because they didn't own the license anymore once the contract was over. It was given to the actual developer and owner. So they can't do whatever they want with the IP without his consent. And again, like I said, he made a remaster, put it on the other platforms that were competitive, and never brought it to the Xbox unit in the last gen or this gen thus far. So, again, how you not going to yell at that developer for being a bum or asshole or a dickhead, for lack of a better term, excuse me, for not doing that and not supporting Xbox, even though that's where he started? Like the Dishwasher 1 and 2, now there's rumors that they're going to make a remaster exclusive for PlayStation. Which is another crazy thing, because that game got its dues and got its opportunity on 360, and it did well. It was very successful, just like Castle Crashers. Okay? So go out there, look up all the games on your list that you want, that should be on Xbox via back compat or via re-release, and tweet at the developers or the publisher and tell them, we want these games. We don't want them to get lost when Xbox turns the store off. Because Microsoft, like I said, they can put that money into other lucrative things to help the generation that is concurrently here now on the Xbox Series X, like the store, or fixing a lot of their features to bring back other things that are actually important, like if you record in 4K, let you put your voiceover over the recording like you can do on PlayStation 5. Even though it's maybe on a paywall or behind a paywall, which sucks, but at least it's there. So you're paying for Xbox Core or Live or Game Pass Ultimate, then you should have access to that feature, because it's super, super convenient to a console gamer. Most console gamers don't care one rat's buddy hole about PC or the PC space. And that's not to disrespect the PC community or my PC brothers that play games. It's just facts. Console gamers do not think and do not play the way that PC gamers do. It's two different mindsets, even though they have a lot of similarities in nature. So, again, you fanboys or fans of Xbox that are complaining on YouTube or social that Xbox ain't shit, that this ain't right, this and that, reevaluate your thoughts and think about what you're saying, because like I said, Microsoft does not own all those IPs, publishing rights or marketing rights. So they have to rely on the ones and the people that do. The ones that do own those licenses and do own all those publishing rights and things of that nature, etc., etc. They're the ones that have to make those moves and deals, sign the paper and agree to do it with Microsoft to bring it out, keep it or preserve it, or make a physical copy for long-term preservation. This is also why I've always said that the medium for physical and the medium for digital can coexist for a long time, because digital medium, although very convenient, when something like this happens, that they're closing the store, if you don't have the money to buy all those games, or you don't have the information because you happen to lose it of an account that you opened maybe 20 years ago, it's going to be lost. Whatever you purchase, it doesn't matter if you spend $3,000, $4,000. Once it's lost, that money goes away with it, and you can't reimburse it or get it back. That is why physical medium is important. That's why I was happy to see when they made Double Dragon Gaiden, the new one that came out, they made a physical. Why? Because Double Dragon Neon, which was also first on Xbox, is physical on PlayStation again and Switch, and there's no copy of it for Xbox. Although it is back compat, and you can play it via back compat at least. And if you own it, it's still there. It's still yours. So start doing what most people should do or could do or are already doing. Go back, do your list of things you want, save up little by little, and by the time June 24th comes next year, God willing, you'll be able to have all the money to buy all the games you want. And they said it that once you own it, it'll go with you. You'll never lose track. Even if you need to download it again or it gets corrupted, you can re-download it once you own the game and it's attached to your gamer tag. Because that's the most important thing. It has to be attached to your gamer tag. If you played it on Game Pass and never bought it, you don't own it. You see? So, again, let's be real and put your focus and your energy and your attitude towards the right direction. Go after the publishers and developers that don't cooperate, that put games like the Elysian Tale, like Limbo, like Castle Crashers, Shadow Complex, so forth and so forth, on PlayStation physically and Nintendo after they got published and helped by Microsoft during the 360 era. That is bull crap. Nah, you can't be this weak, or you can't be this gullible or not naive. You guys are not dumb. The Xbox community usually is pretty on point and smart, right? Mentally. You should know better. This is common sense, common logic. And again, I'm not saying that it's cool that the store's closing. That's not what I mean. Because it isn't. But it's inevitable. Because it's been almost 20 years. It's been 18 years exact, but almost 20 is what I'm, to give you an example, an idea, right? A rounding. And it's been a long time. It's been more than enough time for you to have upgraded, or developers and publishers to have cooperated with Xbox to put most of these games, if not all, via back compat, smart delivery, or in some way, shape, or form, physically even to buy the games. Whether it was through Xbox Store only. Even if you got the physical just through the Xbox Store, it would be an outlet and a way to get it out there. That's all I'm saying. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's not rocket science, people. So, let's get it together. Stop acting childish. Stop acting foolish. Blame those that need to be blamed, right? And let's move it forward. And hopefully, with the graces of God and crossing our fingers, everyone, all of you in the Xbox community, and even PC that like buying from the store, from the 360, can get all the games you ever wanted and you couldn't get, and boom, be able to purchase it before the stores close. And one more thing, let's call these people out that are publishers and developers to see, like Phil Spencer said, if they cooperate, and because they are closing the store, that they're classy enough to give Xbox permission to put games there on sale, at least for the duration of the month of the closure. For the whole month of July next year, have all those games on sale so that Microsoft can get more people the opportunity to buy the games, and that people can have more opportunity without feeling like their bank is going to be broke if it's a lot of games they still need to buy. You see what I'm saying? Developers have to cooperate, and Phil said it. It's up to them if they want to make a nice hot sale of 50 or 75% off before the whole store is closed. Microsoft can't be more transparent. And it sucks because every time they're transparent, it just becomes something negative, and everybody wants to make it like they're the big bad wolf and want to steal your rights, your money, and all kinds of stupid shit, when that's not the reality of it. There's reasons for why things happen. It's not as simple as black and white, like I said. If it was, then they wouldn't have to close the store to begin with. It's that simple. This is your boy Hebot signing off. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like down below, a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Share the video with someone you think might like it. As always, for all of you that continue supporting my channel, thank you, because without you, my channel cannot be sustained, and I would not be here today. For all you that are new, that are coming to the channel and enjoy what I'm doing, enjoy what I did, or just like my nice smile, right? Or at least I like to think I have a nice smile, right? Then, welcome. Thank you for stopping by and taking the time. If you did, remember, if you subscribe, it means the world to me. I am humbled and feel extremely blessed and so appreciative, because you didn't have to. Bottom line, you didn't have to. But if you did, remember, I consider you now part of me, familia. So, this is your host and your boy, Heba, signing off with my topic and video. Short, hopefully, and sweet for you guys. I know I ran a little bit long, but hopefully insightful. Love you guys. Until the next one, bye-bye. Xbox for life, like a sickness that can't be cured. That's my saying. That's my slogan. Don't get triggered, people. It's just in gaming. It's all in good fun. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.